Yeah, 13 love, 13 wisdom, 13 knowledge, 13 respect, 13 love to all my kuzos. This is Kyle Bay, aka Kyle Anthony Bishop Bay. That was my old name. But shout out to all the kuzos. Shout out to everybody watching this. I love y'all from the bottom of my soul, from the top of my crown, top of the dome. Here it goes. I just wanted to share how I met the 13th Sun, because I've been seeing other people make these kind of videos, and I thought it was time. I'd never gotten to tell anybody this story, and I just gotta tell somebody, because this man has been such an inspiration in my life. He has opened me to so many different possibilities and just totally blissed me with 13 love. He's the reason why I do a lot of the things I do, because he, like I said, opened me up to accepting a message that I needed to hear. So there's a lot of us in TLC that had come into meeting Unkh in our own various ways, but I think that the main way was like on YouTube, because a lot of us were searching for information, and his picture, his face popped up at that time we hit crossroads, because all the light workers and all the people like the spiritual gurus and teachers was teaching us all this knowledge, and we had to go around in a full circle and learn all these little things about Kemet, ancient Egypt. We had to learn about like yoga, and we had to learn about chakras and crystals and all these like different topics, and like sovereignty and Moors and all these things. And then all of a sudden you see like Unkh's picture like over on the side, like, do I know that guy? Whatever, I've seen him before, you know? And then you click on it, and then your like life is totally changed for the better, even though you don't know it yet. That's like everybody's story. And so my first time seeing Unkh was like, of course, at a time in my life when I needed him the most, but I was one of those that like was kind of hard-headed and didn't accept the message like all the way. I knew what this guy was saying was true, like in the heart of me, and I loved Unkh, but I was just one of those stubborn children, those like stiff-necked children that didn't want to hearken to like the message all the way. And it took me a little while to actually see who Unkh was, and to accept him, and to accept his message like all the way. And that was because I was looking at the messenger and not looking at the message. And so that's the main tip. First of all, like if you're gonna go, like if you don't know who the 13th Sun is, and you don't love him with all of your heart, and you're gonna go like look up the information, like be prepared to like hear some stuff that's gonna challenge your belief system and that kind of thing. And also, you know, you need to have an open mind and be like a good person in order to be able to accept his kind of message. That's just a side note. But for me, I remember the first video I saw was Christ Allah Wisdom. And the reason why I stumbled across this video is because I was at the family farmhouse, and no one was there, and I had been outside, you know, I had like been planting my feet and getting into nature, that kind of thing, and eating healthy, all these different things just based off of like the information I have been receiving, you know, just through the way that the world turned, because like I just became vegetarian by accident. You know, I stopped eating meat just by accident, pure accident, and then figured out that it was good for me. I stumbled into doing yoga pretty much because I had like hurt my back, and the chiropractor wasn't working. So I had like learned that the government was, you know, again, corrupt and stuff like that. And then, you know, I see the 13th Sun video, Christ Allah Wisdom, because I was researching crystals and I was interested in knowing more about him. But then I see Christ Allah Wisdom, and I'm like, click on that video, and I just see this man open up and just say 13 love, 13 wisdom, 13 knowledge, 13 respect. And I was like, you know, hip onto that 13 thing. Like I have been like researching, you know, the number 13, and of all things, I was living in an apartment number 13 in this like old historical building And there was like, I was into all that spookism, stupid stuff, and doing all that dumb light worker stuff, and like, anyway, I was open though. Like when I heard this 13 guy start talking, I was like, oh, he's about ready to drop that real, And then he goes, you see them serpent eyes? And I just started being like, I can see the serpent eyes. Like my ego was just like off the charts. And I was like, I was still like in my lower self big time, thinking like, oh, I can see the serpent eyes. I bet not everyone else can see the serpent eyes. And I just listened to that video and I was just like, man, where does he get this information from? Like, and he was like saying like, hey, I don't like read the books and I don't do all this stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, man. Not believing him fully, but just like, there was like some calcification in me. I just hadn't been watered down enough to like break through all that calcification that was still in my body. And the message, like, it stuck with me though, but I didn't really, some people just like after that just immediately like took off. It actually took me, about, I say that was in 2016 actually, so I might have been one of the later ones to stumble across it. And so like in 2016 I see this this message. And so I'm graduating from college at this point. The time I get this message is around like March, and by, let's see, like June, I'm like going to like, I'm gonna like start going traveling the world is my idea, because I realized that like the degree I got in college had nothing to like do with like my life's mission. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go search for myself. And I basically had to go like travel around the world and do a lot of the things. Like I'd already been in the belly of the beast type thing, and I was rising out. And then Unkh came into my life at a certain point to like start dropping me the information I was gonna need as I went around the world and started to like repair who I was in a way and starting to rebuild myself. And so I remember I was in Peru, and I had like a little shawl that I was walking around with, and it was like a so-called Native American shawl or whatever. And I was walking around. I remember I got dropped off in like the middle of the rainforest, and I'm like just this random dude walking around with my shawl on to like protect from like all the pollution and negative like vibes, like, and all the attention that I was attracting and stuff, like. But that's where I got back in touch with Big Pachamama. The native people there, or the indigenous, call her Pachamama, which I think that might actually be a Spanish word. But like I learned about like how the Spanish came into South America and just like totally destroyed the indigenous civilizations there and their like whole way of life, and they just totally eradicated the natural environment. There's like 100-year-old tree, 1,000-year-old trees standing there, and beasts come down, just chop it down in one day and make it into plywood. Like all this like stuff about like these cultures and stuff, and I'm not gonna get into that, but I can get sidetracked pretty easy, right? So I'm bringing it back around. He was giving me that real info that I needed to know to like keep myself safe. But I remember getting all the way over halfway across the world, and I'm in India, and I realized to myself like I had to go everywhere outside of myself, to where I'm like on the opposite side of the world right now, searching for myself, when all I had to do was come back inside. And so after that, I had like watched a few of Unkh's videos, but the problem is that I was kind of looking at the messenger, and I was seeing him as just like another person out there spitting knowledge that happened to be like extremely like correct, and that I was kind of jealous of Unkh in a way, because he was saying the stuff that I wanted to tell people and that I couldn't get through to them, but he was getting through to me, and I was like, kind of frustrated at that, and that he was starting this awesome community. And this is about the time when he was like coming off that 40-day fast and the Gregorian calendar spell was up. He was like releasing that, and like, so those are the couple videos that I like saw of him. And so I'm just like totally like, oh, I missed the boat. Like, you know, he's already got his like crew together and stuff, and like, and I like want to do the same thing that he's doing, and so I was kind of jealous of Unkh in a way. Like, that's so arrogant of me, you know, looking back on it now, to like try to like compare myself to his spirit and stuff in that way, just from like our like human perspective. But just seeing that kind of like, you know, it was like I wasn't into like the whole religion aspect of it, because I had renounced my religion. Still was like a God-fearing person, but like had my own view of what God was at that point, and didn't have like all the knowledge, because he started coming out with that knowledge at that point, and I was thinking like, oh, it's getting too religious for me. So this is when like I start to like hearken to the message, right? So this is before I'm about ready to go to India at some point, because I didn't remember this until I looked back in my dream log, which I had been keeping since like, you know, Unkh had to have been like giving me like information even when I wasn't looking at his, like I had to have been like dreaming of him or something, but I was just so like unconscious that I couldn't remember him, because I looked back in a dream log and I realized that like I had this dream where I was wrestling the 13th sun. And so if that like doesn't, kind of now it reminds me of when Yaqub was wrestling the angel, and but like he was this is like where my mind is at this point, right? I'm gonna wrestle the 13th sun and like think I can win. Like, are you serious? This man is like, you know, just like levels above me physically, mentally, spiritually, and I'm in my dream wrestling him, and I'm like trying to take down the 13th sun and stuff. Like, I feel ashamed almost to like be talking about this, because it just shows you where my head was. And like, I'm trying to wrestle him with all my might, and I guess it's like symbolic of me fighting like his message, right? And he's sitting there, and I can tell this guy can just like totally take me down, pin me to the ground, just whoop me up, right? But he's like struggling to like, you know, but I can tell it's all a game, it's all an act, he's just acting. And it kind of like, it was even ticking me off more, and I wanted to like really like, you know, take him down there. And I was like, man, he's not trying all the way, you know, and like, but he's still like, it's like we were just neck and neck and like, you know, totally even, and we finally like are down on the ground or whatever, and it's just like me and him telepathically sitting there, and he's like, you see, you dumb monkey ass, like, I'm not here to like hurt you, I'm here to help you, you know, you need to like understand that I'm not trying to say that I'm better than you, but that I'm walking beside you. And that's when I realized, I'm like, this man is so humble, and this man is so like kind-hearted, and that he's bringing this message not for his own benefit, not because his ego is super big, but because like he's doing the right thing. He's doing his life's mission, and he's even willing to like go back and like help these souls that have like totally just totally lost and going down the wrong path. He's actually so kind-hearted to give them a second chance or another opportunity, even though they don't want to like change all the way yet, but he can see somewhere in them. And so this is when I realized, like, wow, this man is the most benevolent person I've ever encountered. And from then on, I started doing as much as I could. Like, I really started getting into his videos and trying to learn what he was saying. I get to the point where I'm like ready to basically, you know, I'm at another crossroads in my life, right? And it's like, am I going to listen and go by what the 13th sun is saying? And I like really I'm not going to tell you who the 13th sun really is, but those of you that know who the 13th Sun is, like, I'm at that point where I'm like, man, I gotta accept whether this is like the man that I think he is, or, you know, that my gut's been telling me ever since I first saw him that I've been like denying, or is this like, you know, am I gonna just keep doing what I've been doing and just like, you know, and when it comes to like taking the red pill or the blue pill, like the Matrix, I was always the one that was like, I take the red pill every time. I don't care, because once I know the truth or whatever, I'm not going back, kind of thing. Like, when I learned that, like, you know, cheese and those kind of things was bad for you, I stopped eating them. Like, you know, that's just my personality or whatever. So, I'm like teaching yoga or whatever, but I'm starting to realize like, hey, I gotta change my ways if I'm gonna like start being like a teacher, you know, and I gotta like actually start living, you know, the righteous path if I'm gonna start teaching this knowledge and like preaching it, because you can't play both sides, right? And I've been playing both sides too much. Not like he needed to like, you know, come to me again at that crossroads, because I was, you know, starting to learn, but I was also like still sliding back in a couple of areas, not learning quick enough. Like, I was basically gonna miss the boat again. And he comes to me, I'm picking up golf. I hate golf. I don't hate anything really, like I don't have any hate in my heart, but I really just like don't care for golf at all. But I thought, hey, this would be like you know, this is probably a good way to do business or whatever. And so I had been like, you know, I've been gardening, planting my feet, but then I always thought, hey, it's cool to like just hit a couple golf balls off into the field and like learn how to do this in case I need to know. So it's on my solar return, right? This video's getting long, right? It's on my solar return. And I had known from a child that I don't want to celebrate my solar return. I just gotten off the phone with Granny, and she's telling me, why didn't you want to celebrate your birthday? You make everybody in the family so happy. And I'm like, I love my Granny. And I can't explain to her why, you know, Christmas is bad. And she's Catholic woman, God-fearing woman and everything, but, you know, I love her and everything. And I'm trying to, like, you know, respect my elders and stuff. But you know that balance. Everybody know that balance, man. So it's my solar return, and I don't want to celebrate my birthday, but I'm at that position where like all my old friends, you know, all the people that's trying to pull you back into the shoal, into the pit, and that's hell for all of you people out there that ain't on, you know, what shoal is and what the pit is, but they trying to pull you down back in that. And I had like been really trying to stop doing all the old negative stuff, you know, the drinking and smoking and partying and that kind of stuff. And they're like, come on, man, you gotta celebrate your birthday or whatever. And so I'm like, fine, I'll just stop by and say what's up. And so I stopped by, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go hit a couple golf balls, you know, because they had some, you know, they had clubs and they had a nice little area where I could go hit it. And so I'm out there by myself, and I'm getting all set up, and I'm doing like all the technique that I've been learning and stuff. And I remember I go, keep my eye on the ball. And then it was like, all of a sudden, you know, you're in the car and someone's just like, hit the brakes. I'm like, and I'm like frozen, right? And basically, the strongest telepathic connection you can possibly imagine with 13th Sun just comes all up into my head at once, being like, your monkey ass better not swing that golf club or we done. And I'm like, you know, like, is there something in my ear? Like, what's going on here? Like, I think I'm imagining Unkh's voice in my head. And so I'm like, and I couldn't swing because his voice just came straight back into me and was like, I told you, you cannot hit this golf ball right now. And I'm like, why can't I hit this golf ball? And I was like, gonna try to swing again. He's like, what part of this don't you understand? I'm coming to you directly telling you, do not hit this golf ball or we through. Like, I know this is crazy, y'all. I know, and especially for y'all that don't know the 13th Sun, you're like, what is this guy talking about? But I couldn't do it for the life of me. I wanted to hit that golf ball, but I couldn't swing the club at the ball. Because I knew that if I swung that golf club at that ball, like, my connection with the 13th Sun, with TLC, with all of that, was going to be over. And I hadn't, like, really, like, gotten into TLC, like, you know, or known it was a possibility that I was part of that crew. But, like, I couldn't hit that ball. And I thought in my head, this guy is the guy I think that he's been the whole freaking time. And now I have to, like, accept that. Is this, you know who? You know who. Is this him? This is him. This is the guy. This is the one. You know, this is the one. And this is it. This is real. And I have to accept this, like, totally. So from that point forward, anything that man said, I took completely to heart. And I started just changing my ways overnight. Like, all the way. Like, I am fully committed now. And I just have to be so thankful. So thankful. Thank you so much, da13thsun Amarube, for putting up with my arrogant, monkey ass, you know, just disrespectful person that I was. And this is a public announcement. I repent for all the lawless behaviors, all of the negative things, all of my sinful actions of the past, of the present, and of the future. And I do my best every day to make up for that, and I do my best every day to do the right thing. And that's all because of what the 13th Sun, the love that he showed me, the love that he showed TLC, the community and the platform that he put together for all of us to come together, the information and knowledge that he spread to repair all of what was broken inside of our heads, our bodies, our spirits. Like, thank you so much to that man. 13 love to that man. 13 love to all my cousins in TLC. I'd never gotten to share that story, and I just wanted to put it out there, especially because now I have, you know, so-called students of mine being like, you know, figuring out who the 13th Sun is. And so I can't really, like, say who it is, but, like, when they start being like, hey, I, like, started checking out the 13th Sun guy that you was talking about, you know, is on your website and that kind of thing. And, you know, he really resonates with me. It's like watching, you know, like a rerun of something, like, of, like, what you already experienced. And I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing, like, you know, figure it out, you know, and like, kind of, like, you know, nudging them along the path and, like, saying, yeah, like, that's good that you, but I can't, like, come out and say, you know, what they should do and all that kind of stuff. I gotta let them make their own choices and know that, hey, like, I'm really not the messenger, you know, I'm just a person that took heed of the message, and my life benefited from it tremendously because it was a message of love and compassion. And, you know, 13, I love all you with all my heart. 13 love. Shanti, peace.